Welcome to Mild to Wild Cooking, cooking with flavor and flair. Today, I'm making a pineapple granita and to go with it, a nice tea that will make the pineapple float. So, pineapple will be mild, the spices will be the wild. Come on and join me. Let's get going. The first thing I'm going to do today is use this beautiful, juicy pineapple to make a granita. The way to do it, first of all, is how to handle a pineapple like this. Probably see them in stores, hanging, being stored nice and cold. What I like to do is when I have them, to make sure that all the juices flow and is evenly distributed, all the sweetness, I leave them upside down for a few days. Seems weird, but believe me, all the juices will flow all the way down. Make sure that it's nicely sweet all around. Then, use a bread knife, my trusty companion. You're going to slice it up, bottom and top, to make sure we have a nice even base. And now that we have a steady base, we can go around all the way and slice up this pineapple. This is a granita recipe. It means it's a recipe that's going to be nice and cold and icy. And you can use pretty much any ingredient to do it. Strawberries this time of the year are delicious, raspberries too. But I'm going with the pineapple. When it comes to pineapple, I'm going to show you a little trick that makes every single sorbet become, not sorbet, could be a sorbet, it's not a sorbet. In this case, it's actually a granita. It would not work in a sorbet because you want it to be smooth. In this case, you want the ice particles to become solid. So you don't want it to be too smooth. Almost like, let's say you're making one of those snow cones. Snow cone would usually be nice, icy. A sorbet would be smooth. And that's the difference here. We want something that is not too smooth. It's going to be icy. Pineapple is being sliced. It's an easy. I like to do is leave the center core right where it is and just cut around it. Try not to drop your pineapple as you're doing it. We're going to use it. It's not waste. Give it a quick rinse. It'd be a shame to waste such a delicious fruit here. What we're going to do is we're going to slice it. Here we go. These bits, do not throw them away. They're beautiful for tenderizing meat. Every now and then, when I'm cooking like a barbecue, I want to use beef, for example, or chicken. I use these bits to tenderize it. It's perfect. If you use it with pork, it has to be very fast because pork tends to become mushy if you do it that way. What we're looking here is just chunks. Nice big chunks that we're going to use for blending. Don't have to be too particular or finicky about it. Pineapple, beautiful, delicious flavor. I'm going to top that with a beautiful tea, hibiscus tea. So we have a blender already here. Pineapple will go in. Turns out I'm going to end up with some spare. I do not want to top up this way too much. As we go, come and join me. I'm going to make a lovely syrup. This is going to add a lot of flavor to the recipe and also adding water to it. Make sure that we have the crispy and iciness. I already pre-boiled some water in my kettle. I'm going to do is drop it in, turn up the heat, and as we do that, we're going to infuse it. Why not? Some beautiful flavors. In this case, something that goes really well with pineapple. We have star anise, that lovely sweet anisey flavor. Works really perfectly with pineapple. We have cloves too. Something you can use nutmeg if you wish. You can use allspice. I actually have some allspice in here too. Beautiful, beautiful flavors. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as it comes to a boil, let this steep in for a few seconds, a few minutes even. Then let it refrigerate or cool down. We're going to mix it with our base here and we're going to blitz the whole thing together. And to go with it, these delicious and awesome leaves. Now, if you don't know these, you will indeed start using them. I assure you of this. These are hibiscus leaves. If you're from Australia, you're probably very familiar with those. If you're from West Africa too. And these are the leaves of a plant. You use the actual leaves of the plant to make African dishes. These beautiful purple color flowers are what makes it the most delicious tea that you can imagine. In West Africa, they call them karkade. Karkade tea, back in Guinea-Bissau, has a bissap. We call them bissap too. I'm going to infuse them. That's it, pretty straightforward. I'm going to use some leaves, drop them into a jar. Don't be afraid to reuse these leaves too. When they're nice, bright and red, they can be used to make several recipes. What I actually do is, after using this recipe, I tend to want to use sugar syrup, let them nice coated, and then let them dry out for a few days. And then I can put in the same sugar syrup and let it rest in the fridge for days. You can use it in curries, all types of dishes. You'll get to see a lot of these easy tricks and hacks. Would be here. I already have boiling water there, as I mentioned. I'm going to use that kettle. We're going to start infusing it. Beautiful. Now, we're gonna let that sit around for a few minutes. It'll do its job. We're going to season this because we have water boiling. We're going to add spices, but what we need to do is make a sugar syrup. It's a perfect way of balancing all the pectin that you have already in the pineapple and mixing it so in a way that it becomes breakable, becomes kind of smooth. You don't want it to be too smooth, but it will help around. So come and join me. I'm going to add some sugar here. It's come to a boil pretty much. It's simmering already. And when it comes to sugar, you do not want to worry too much about exactly how much you're adding. A simple sugar syrup would usually be equal parts sugar and water. In this case, I do not want it to be exact because it depends on the fruit that you're using. If you're using strawberries this time of the year, for example, it might be sweeter than other times of the year. Depends on the fruit too. Some fruit is tart, some fruit is more acidic. Depends a lot. So what we're going to do is cook the whole thing together. We're going to add it little by little. Keep tasting and see when it feels perfect, it feels perfect. With granitas and things that are frozen, it's very important as well. Add more sugar than usual because once it becomes frozen, it will change the balance as well completely. That is on. Beautiful spices now. Star anise, cassia bark or cinnamon as well. Nutmeg, allspice, it's up to you. Everything works with this recipe. So I'm gonna dunk them right in this water. Here we go. Oh, the smells are amazing already. It's getting right there, man. I wish you could smell this. It's awesome. As that's going, we have this beautiful infusion here going on already. Look at that color. It'll become darker and darker. It's pretty much it. What I'm going to do is let that cool down, blitz it a little bit. I'll show you. And that will go in the fridge. Once I have this in the freezer, it's a matter of waiting. I'm gonna show you a few steps and it'll be perfect, man. Let me get this thing ready for you. Oh my God. Now the flavor is there. I tell you, I use so many spices. Actually, it does not need to infuse that long. It's really strong. I think we're right there. I'm gonna turn it off. For the purpose of speeding it up, I'm gonna use a bit of ice. Let's get in here. Here we go. Going to thin it out with a bit of ice and make sure that it's nice and cold before we add it to the pineapple. Why not add some extra flavors? I love cooking with herbs and mint is the perfect companion to this pineapple. Just a couple of leaves here. I'm going to carefully pick a few, drop them in. You do not want to overpower it. I reckon for this amount, 3 small leaves is quite enough to do it. I'm going to let this cool down. Oh my God, I can make cocktails with this sort of syrup. I can use them to make a coating on meats, like give them a finishing gloss. It's awesome here. So I'm going to strain it. I want to make sure that only the infused water will go into the pineapple. In this recipe, especially when you're making granitas, you would want to use a little trick that restaurants do. We add gelatin leaves to it. Gelatin will make sure that when you're breaking up the granita, everything will remain solid, so it will actually set completely. When you use pineapple, it will not work because of this enzyme that pineapples have that will break down the gelatin. For that reason, you can either use pectin or sugar with pectin, or use the natural pectin that the pineapple has. Again, depends on how ripe, how sweet it is. This was quite sweet, so I use regular sugar. I'm about to blitz it. That's pretty much it. Here we go. Now that it's nice and blitzed, what we're going to do is use a recipient for all our lovely mixture. Again, you can taste it at all times to make sure that it has the right balance of sweetness. I'm pretty sure I'm right with this one. That works for me. And I'm going to drop it in. You're going to freeze this. A nice blast freeze. You can actually cover it. And I love the way that I'm using these reticulum ones. If you use round ones, they tend to take longer to freeze too. So rectangular or square shape are the best ones to use. Chop it in and by magic, we have one ready. That goes in. We get our serving glass too already. Wow, one here for me. Wow, amazing. I'm also going to need the ready version of the tea. Favorite part now. We're going to serve and we're going to enjoy this. So here we go. It's nice and cold. I make sure that the glass was cold too. I use a very cold tea. Now, it's all about balance when it comes to dishes like this. You're going to scoop the beautiful pineapple right on top of it. Oh, wow. This is a wonder. Guys, granitas, sorbets, anything nice like this is beautiful, not just as something to go with a meal. It's great between courses too, kind of cleans your palate. If you want to use it as a dessert, great too. Add a little bit of vodka, rum to it, you have a cocktail. This is amazing, simple, but made well with a lot of tricks, not much effort. Top it up with mint, and this is what I call mild to wild. Guys, you know, anytime you want to enjoy good cooking, simple hacks and tricks to make your delicious meals even more special, stick with us. This is awesome, and come and join me. That is fucking delicious. That is really delicious. Without the cursing.